And hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault. This is the Tom Chenault Show. I hope you're having an unbelievably great day. What a show we've got for you today. I love this woman. She has been like a mentor to me, and I have been in awe of her forever. She scared the crud out of me for a long time just because she was up in Boulder and everybody kept talking to me about Hayley Hobson and do I know her? Do I not know her? And I could never admit that I didn't know her. So I would fake like, oh yeah, I know her. She's quite the girl. I taught her everything she knows because she's like 12 and was making five times as much money as me back then, and now 10 times as much as me. And she is an attorney, former model, incredible fitness woman, great mother. I love her husband, Wes. Absolutely never met a guy like him in your life. Famous triathlete, currently a famous triathlete. Just love the guy. Sends me press clippings on himself like every week. It's just very, very cool. And Hayley Hobson, how are you?
I am good, Tom. Thank you for the warm welcome.
I love you.
I love you too.
Okay, that makes me happy. We got that out of the way. So Hayley, how on earth did a woman from New York or New Jersey, I don't know which one it was, I can't remember, wherever you guys grew up with Andy Brandt, how did a woman go to law school, become a lawyer, end up in Boulder, Colorado, and one of the top network marketing women in the world? How on earth does that even happen?
I mean, Tom, we could talk for hours about that, but in a long, short story, first of all, I ended up in Boulder, Colorado because of my husband, Wes. I was born in New York City. You're right. I moved to New Jersey as a child. I grew up in New Jersey. I went to college in the Boston area. I came back to New Jersey, Philadelphia area for law school. I went to law school, practiced for several years, and then actually decided I wanted to migrate west. So I actually moved to Los Angeles, California, and lived there for almost 10 years. During one of my trainings, because I had now quit the practice of law and was teaching Pilates and yoga full time, I went on a training to Boulder, Colorado, and I met Wes and fell in love. And so within a couple months, we moved me from Los Angeles to Boulder, Colorado. That's how I ended up there. And then I have no idea how I ended up in network marketing, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think that's anybody's like, hey, I want to be a network marketer, right? It was just kind of like one of those things that sort of like was presented to me and started rolling on its own, and then literally took on a life of its own. And by the time I realized what I was doing, I was massively in action and I was not stopping.
Has it only been the company you're in right now that you've been with?
Well, actually, no. I had two brief stints in two other companies before this, but didn't kind of really know I was in them. So the first time was somebody had asked me if I wanted to do a cleanse. And without me kind of realizing what happened, I signed up to be, I guess, a customer in a company, and then was asked by my upline, which I didn't even know what an upline was, if I wanted to invite my community to do this cleanse, and made a few $100s, and then was never really sort of taught how the whole system was working. So I didn't even know that was going on. And then really at some point never bought the product again. The second time, I didn't really understand it was network marketing, but as I started to use the product and understand that there was the compensation plan attached, I did actively try to recruit people and sell the product. I knew what I was doing at that point, but I only lasted there about 3 months because, to tell you the truth, I wasn't really in love with the product, and simultaneously had found the company I'm at now as a customer and just said to myself, this is where I really belong, and started using that product and really started sharing that big time. And that's how I ended up. But this is the only company that I really proactively built with, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, I want to settle something right now because I know I just got a text message. Okay, do you have to be a lawyer to make it big in network marketing?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Oh, you have to have a law degree. You guys, I hear every day, oh, Tom, you've got a radio show. That's why you're successful. No, right. I'm successful because I work my face off. And having a radio show hurts me. Having a law degree hurts her. Having a medical degree hurts medical people because all people want to talk about is their sore toe. And this business is about far bigger than that. There's something called hope. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're totally right. And Tom, if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to get a little bit vulnerable with the audience right now. I actually have been talking about this a little bit on my Facebook community yesterday. I did a live on my business page, and I did a personal post on my personal page, and I did a little bit on Instagram. to kind of share with people. I wasn't doing it intentionally to just say like, poor me, poor me, poor me. But I went out there and I think a lot of times people have a perception of me that like my life is perfect and that I had it all lined up. And that's why like every destiny was just put in front of me. But I just reminded my audience yesterday that like, hey, I have a lot going on right now. And this summer I had both parents who were not doing well. Mom had fractured her spine. Dad had last minute, like sort of massive, major intrusive surgery, who required a lot of care across the country and had to work that out. My stepdaughter is getting ready to college. You know, anybody who has put a child in college, you know what that is sort of entailing. My 9-year-old needs all of the 9-year-old stuff that's going on. I don't know if you've heard the latest and greatest, but Wes just had another injury 2 days ago, which I'm sure you'll hear. I don't really want to discuss publicly. He's fine. But you can text him after the show, which now required him to get a ride from San Diego to Boulder, Colorado today. He left and drove home so he could go start to deal with that. I'm packing up this house for the summer, moving into another, moving back home. I have a guest house I rent out here. We had a 6-month tenant move in and bail after a month. I'm telling you, I'm looking for a tenant. I'm painting the walls. I'm running my business. I have a child. I have a lot going on around me. I called it extras in all my posts. And the thing that's made me who I am is just deciding that everything, I'm going to quote one of my favorite mentors, Marie Forleo, everything is figure outable. Like you just wake up in the morning and you deal with what's in front of you and you stop complaining and you stop blaming and you stop saying you can't do it or you don't know how to do it, and you figure out and you continue on, because everyone is in life. Me and you and me, and my life is not perfect. I just decide not to get bogged down by it.
100% right. And you guys, you don't have to have a law degree for that.
No.
You have to have a guts degree. You have to have a serenity degree. I mean, I'm telling you, I went and stayed with Hayley and Wes and about 500 kids one weekend or something like that. And just watching the way these two ran their lives with just precision, organization, purpose, love, health, vitality, doing stuff. But I'm telling you, these two people are people on a mission, and it's not all about the commission. It's about changing the world. And you want to, she alluded to Facebook and Instagram and personal page and all these pages. This woman is on top of social media too, actually teaches outside of her company seminars on how to be a beast there. And I strongly recommend you pay attention to what she does, because she has dialed it in. Would you agree, Hayley?
Yeah, I think, Tom, one of the things I've been speaking a lot about lately is really deciding to believe that you have all the answers. And I went to a yoga retreat a couple of years ago, and I remember one of the analogies my teacher used was like, you're born with, like, you come onto this earth with a suitcase. And if you actually open it, you have all the tools that you need. And I think that a lot of people don't actually open their own suitcase, and they wait for people to tell them what to do. And they don't even want to figure it out when we have such easy access with Siri and Google, right? Like, who will tell us all the answers. Like sometimes I challenge my kids. I'm like, I'm going to put you back in 1987 and see if you can survive, right? When we didn't have all of that extra stuff, but we have it in front of us, and you need to decide to figure it out. And then you need to decide, this is the big one, Tom, to trust your intuition and your gut. And when you can make a decision, and here's the deal, as entrepreneurs, you need to make decisions like that. That is why I get so much done in my life, because I don't sit around wondering, what should I do? I make a decision and I'm not afraid of it being wrong. If it is wrong, I'll just pivot and try something else. But you've got to act like this all the time, or you're going to just sit there in front of yourself, watching your life go by and never getting anything done.
I agree with that. And everybody pay attention to what she's saying, because I'm telling you, you can sit around and be perfect and you will go broke being perfect. Perfect doesn't get it in this business. It's progress and not perfection. That's an AA line, actually. And it is true there and it's true here. And if you can wrap your hands around that and just go hit it straight down the middle every day, Hayley is in the game all the time. She touches a tremendous amount of people. She figured out how to do a bunch of stuff on the internet to bring people to her. But I'll tell you one thing right now. She is in activity and in action and leading. Are you the biggest distributor at your company?
Well, I don't know, because I mean, it's hard to measure that, because, you know, I'm a distributor that's levels down from distributors that actually have all of my team under them, right? So it's like, I don't know, like, have I been a top enroller in my company? Yes. I mean, I pretty much win our incentive trip based on enrollments and reordering every single year for the last 7 years. I have been on the top. I am one of the top leaders in the company. I am definitely one of 3. There's 3 that are the rank that I am, and that's the top rank. And I'm sure, and I haven't really done research, but I'm sure I'm probably in the top 5 to 10 in terms of being paid. Again, there's people that are above me that are collecting, you know, possibly some income from my team as well. But we have a lot of really amazing leaders in our company. I've never really like tried to figure out like where I sit and all that. I just stay in my zone, because I think that, you know, comparing ourselves to other people is just like the death of us.
Cool. What is your, how do people, we're going to go to a break. How do people get hold of you?
HayleyHobson.com, HayleyHobson.
That's your favorite spot. Go to HayleyHobson.com. We're going to take a little break here. We're on the Genesis Communication Network, one of my favorite radio networks on the planet, owned by Ted Anderson. He's got 550 stations out there. Mary Lou Hanner, all kinds of people are on his network, and he is gracious enough to let us be on his network for many, many years. We love him. We wouldn't be in business without him. We'll be back right after this with Hayley Hobson. Love her too. And we're back. Okay, Hayley, the cool news is now we're on break, but we aren't really on break. So you're still live, but the radio people are all listening to ads for survival gear and how to you know, why they still think it's Y2K coming. It's very cute stuff. So you can look on Facebook and see all your friends. You can tell me what to put up. You can talk about Sean Murphy. And Adrian and I are doing a great big deal in a couple of days. He told me to talk to you about it today. It's called contactmapping.com/webinar. And if you guys know his home phone number, please text him and say his dad did mention it, because he sent me like 500 texts. I think he thinks I've got Alzheimer's or something like that, because he won't leave me alone. And what happened to Wes? What happened? Is he hurt badly?
So, yeah, I mean, we don't know. I mean, he had a little bit of pain in his knee for the last couple of months and hasn't been running. As you know, he likes to run. And so he's just sort of been ignoring it, and it's been getting worse. And then he was in the ocean the other day on Sunday and just came out of there not looking good. So we've had him propped up with his leg up for the last 2 days, and just decided the best thing to do was just to get him back to Boulder since we're ending the summer now, because if it is something where he needs to, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say ACL and meniscus, but we're potentially thinking there might be an issue there. And if he is going to need surgery, we just want him in the hometown.
Are you second guessing yourself for marrying an older and infirm man?
No, Wes is the best.
Okay, well, good. I guess he's still in the game. That's exciting. I just was thinking you'd be a very, very good catch, because you've got a very beautiful face, unbelievable skin, and a very, very, very great wit about you, and not a bad income. So that's pretty cool. Let me see. 5 hacks. Yeah, somebody threw up the link for 5 hacks for starting a conversation with anybody. It's pretty funny, because we've been working on those hacks. So I've been trying to go to coffee shops and stuff like that, and just making sure that I am as good as I think I am about starting conversations with people. Because if you come in with a pitch, if you come in with a script, if you come in with inauthenticity or anything else, you're going to lose the battle. And this contactmapping.com/webinar 5 hacks thing that we're going to do is going to be over the top, because I'm just going to prove it to you once and for all that you being your best authentic self is going to win the day every time, no matter what. So go to that website. If once you've done that, you've already gotten bored doing that webinar link, just go to contactmapping.com. Take a look at all the video and all that jazz that we've got going, because it is rolling like you can't believe. And Hayley's doing all kinds of stuff. Are Are you going to talk about any of these these industry generic seminars you're doing when we get back on the show, Hayley?
Yeah, I've got a lot of good stuff going on coming up soon. I don't know if you know this about me, Tom. Maybe you do. I'm like addicted to personal development. And
yes,
I just am a person who is constantly wanting to raise the vibration. And I'm super intrigued specifically by how our brains are hijacked from our genetic patterns from the past and the interpretations that we have decided to give stories from the past. And what happens in our brains is that we take an event that happened. It could be literally when we're 6 months old, and we attach a story to it. So let's just say hypothetically,
hold it. Okay, we're going to come back on. This is too good because I want the radio. There's 550 stations out there that need to hear this.
Okay.
This is better than this lumpy commercial with Sean Murphy. So we got to get ready. Hi, Sean. I just want to say hello. All right. We're coming back right after this. Give me 3 seconds. So this is the Tom Chenault Show. We are back. We've only got about 8 minutes left with Hayley Hobson. And this woman is a rock star, and she's smart. And she has dialed in network marketing, and she does a tremendous amount of generic training. And I think you ought to take a look at it. And she believes wholeheartedly that network marketing is nothing more than personal development with a compensation plan tied to it. And she is a devotee, is that the word, of personal development. And I want her to talk a little bit about what she thinks is happening to people's brains, because it's fascinating and you need to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I am an addict, honestly, of education. Before my network marketing days, after law school, which obviously is education in itself, I went and did like 3 different Pilates trainings, which took me years. I went and took like 5 different yoga trainings. I became a certified health coach, a certified life coach, and I just love to continue to expand my mind. I'm super fascinated by the way that our brain works. What we do is we attach stories to incidents that have happened in our past, and we don't even know we're doing it. That's the problem. So let's hypothetically say you're 2 years old, you're crying, you're in your bedroom, your mom doesn't come, and then you cry, and you finally fall asleep. You have now attached a story that nobody cares about me. My mom isn't picking me up. She's not coming. My crying, speaking up, talking, asking for things doesn't work. So now you have created a pattern for yourself throughout your life that I just don't need to say anything, because no matter what I say, it doesn't matter to anybody. That shows up everywhere in our life. It shows up in your business. It shows up in your relationship. It shows up even the way that you communicate with your partner. And then your kids inherit those patterns as well. So anyway, I'm super fascinated by this work, and I've done a lot of training around it. And I do a course every year where I teach people that their subconscious thoughts create the vibration or the feelings in their body that then either cause them to act or not, and then get the results or not that they want in their life. So I will be talking about that and launching that. Again, if you go to hayleyhobson.com, you can go onto the About Me page or Work With Me page. You'll see that coming up. It's called Consciously Creating Your Life and Biz. And then I also have a live event that I teach every year in Boulder, Colorado. Tom, you were there last year. We have even up-leveled that event. We're blowing it up. It's an event to teach entrepreneurs in this space really how to get online. And the key to doing that is not just spending a ton of money on Facebook ads. It's not having the best logo. It's learning how, and Tom, you're going to love that I say this, it's learning how to tell stories that sell, right? It's being your authentic self. So I have my own copywriter coming in. I have my own social media manager and content manager coming in. I do have a Facebook ads manager coming in to teach about that. I have a website gal coming in. I've got, who else do I have? A sales coach coming in. I've got a lot of really amazing professionals coming in alongside of me. And we're going to teach you through that 1-day live event, really how to take your business from just telling what your cat did on Facebook to attracting people into your life that ultimately want to work for you. And that's how I built my whole business, is being me, being authentic, saying it how it is, not being afraid to fall on my face, not caring if people like me or don't like me, but attracting the right people by telling my story. And that's how I built my business. November 16th right. In Boulder. November 16th, you can head on over to my website, hayleyhobson.com /live-event.
Okay, so are you going to only have vegan sandwiches again?
It depends. If you're coming, probably.
That is so unbelievable. So this guy in Boulder, Jerry Kalana, this is an article somebody just sent me in the newspaper on Long Lost Startup Week because Adrian was mentioned in there. But this guy talks about big business, and he says, here's how you do it. First, you need to learn the skills of network marketing. All of you need to learn the skills. Then you have to do radical self-inquiry and inspection. And then you have to share that with other people. And if you can get that down to where you get like vulnerable, like she just talked about, and you finally get what's between you and other human beings, like no kidding, all of a sudden you're comfortable in every room and you can be that leader you've always wanted to be. But almost all of us have a big story from our past, like she alluded to, that is completely stopping us that we've never dealt with.
Or
right?
hundreds of stories. We could have hundreds of stories that are living in our body, in our DNA, that are stopping from us.
You have no idea. How would you like to live just like 5 minutes in my head?
Oh, I'm sure.
No, thank you. But that's the truth, Hayley. And you're doing it and you're teaching it. And, again, you don't have to have a law degree. You have to have a doctorate in love, a doctorate in heart. Fire your brain, hire your heart. Every one of you.
I want to tell you something, though. It's taken me a really long time to get here because I was a person with massive insecurities. I was a person who had an eating disorder. I was a person who hated myself. I was a person who was on anti-anxiety medication and antidepressants and just could not live with myself. And I hated everybody and I didn't know how to talk to anybody. So trust me when I say that if you do decide to take the journey into you, you can totally change.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Well, Hayley, we love you with all of our heart. We've got to free you up for a super important phone call in 1 minute. So you go get on that phone call right now. We love you, everybody. Hayley Hobson, over and out. You're great. Hug Wes. Tell him I love him.
Thanks, Tom. Love you too.
You too. Bye-bye. She is a great woman. And we'll be right back. And we're back. It's Tom Chenault, and it is the break. So let's have a cocktail. So here's the deal. I am a recovering alcoholic, and what else does it say? And network marketer. Would you like to have a cup of coffee with me? And that's exactly the story of my life. And this is what I've dealt with every minute because I might as well have a scarlet letter on me twice. One is multi-level marketer. The second one is recovering alcoholic. So I get invited nowhere. So what does that mean? I've got to have serious hacks on how to open up conversations because people can see me coming from 10 miles away. I'm like the Book of Mormon almost, it's just, I'm one of those guys you're going to avoid at all costs, but guess what? You aren't. And once you learn the power of opening up conversation, you're going to win this. And Adrian and I are doing this big webinar on Thursday. It is going to rock. It is going to roll. It'll be on, I don't know, some webinar place. Oh, you have to register for it. I have no idea where you find it. So you go to contactmapping.com/webinar. And I have a feeling they're going to tell you where you get to watch it, but you have to register first. And somebody post to me if it costs any money, because I have no idea if we're charging for anything or not. I would be highly doubt it. I would doubt it. And if it does cost money, call me on the phone and I'll loan it to you. So it's just, I just want you there because this business is too doable. It's just bring Angela on, will you please? It's just too doable. And
she's there.
Oh, she's beautiful. Hello, Angela. How are you, kid?
Oh, I'm good.
We're on the break. So this is just, I'm not going to go through any big introduction to you. I just love you and I love your work and I love your spirit and I love your heart. And you're just a good woman.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's a fact, Jack. Where are you? The library?
I am in a dark office trying to hide my son's room.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. You look like you're like in a law firm and you're doing all the kind of big shot stuff. James, can you make me a cup of coffee at some point? And that was a polite question, everybody. I wasn't bossing him around. He's the producer of the show. He's the engineer of the show. He's not the producer. Marianne is. They both have business cards. So don't anybody get in a Twitter that I'm bossing everybody around. I just have to talk through these commercials and it gets a little hard. So everybody, contact mapping. Angela is a beast at network marketing and figuring out how to get people to call her on the phone via LinkedIn, via email, I've just never seen anybody like her. I have been a fan of her. She's only 12 years old And when we get back to the other side and I introduce her properly, you're going to get it. But man, you've done a lot in a short amount of time, haven't you, kid?
I have. I really have.
Are you completely stunned? And we'll talk about this in the show about your success.
Yes, because that's not what I came in. I didn't think anything about all the things that I've done. It was just, get a product, get a company. I just needed like $500. I didn't need a lot of money.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I can't believe it. Cal Mura, thanks for worrying about me last night. I see you on here. Love you with all of my heart. Let's see who else. Ingrid Gallagher, thank you for being on. Jed, thanks for being on. I love that name. It is the business. This is the profession. And the way that you get good at it is looking in the mirror and radical self-discovery. So you are so comfortable in your own skin and not having to be somebody else that has you a magnet for other people. And you guys know me. I've been sober 31 years. I'll never forget when my little girl was in the kindergarten class. They said, tell us a secret about your dad nobody knows. My little girl raised her. Everybody said my dad picks his nose when he watches TV. My little girl said my dad's been arrested 3 times. That's
wow.
They had for drinking and doing all that crazy stuff. And at the end of the day, I got through it. I ended up growing up with my kids, raising some great kids, but I wasn't exactly personality plus in those days. And personal development got me there from here. So Hayley Hobson was right. You've got to learn how to relate to people. And I'm telling you, the faster you can do that, the better. Go to contactmapping.com, download that copy shop interview, contactmapping.com. /webinar, register for that and be ready Thursday at 2:00 Eastern time. We are going to knock your socks off. And with that, we're going back to the show right now. Welcome back, everybody, for the second half of the show. I hope you loved Hayley Hobson. This is Tom Chenault, and now we've got the one and only Angela Brooks. This woman came from nowhere. I'll tell you, all of a sudden, I was seeing her everywhere. I took a cue from her, and I swear to people, this happens. They ask me who I want to be like, in my public persona, and I tell people like Angela Brooks, because this woman cracked the code. She is in some people's screens, and it's just amazing to me. Angela Brooks, how are you doing, young lady?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Yeah, no, I wanted you, man. I chased you down. I'm a stalker. And the reason I did was because I just can't believe what you pulled off in such a short amount of time. And you're providing such help for everybody paralyzed trying to get out of the starting gate. So first of all, who are you? Tell everybody a little bit of your story.
I am a retired nurse. I retired in 2014 so that I could work at home. It was actually, I'd been there 25 and a half years, so it was time for me to retire. But I started working my network marketing company 4 years before I started looking into retirement, because it was either do something else or I was going to end up staying there for another 10 years or 20, whatever, because you get locked into that comfort zone. Yeah. And I just started working, sharing the product, learning how to be a blogger, because that's how I really got started out on social media. And of course, Facebook was new. And I started, actually, my son went to the Little League World Series, and that's where I started using Facebook and sharing what was going on in my day. So just fast forward, people started following me on social media. I was engaging back and forth, and my team grew. We were like 15,000 people underneath me. And if you'd have told me that when I signed up, I would have thought just crazy, because I didn't see that happening. We just simply needed an extra $500 a month because my son was in baseball and we traveled every weekend, and it just kept going. It was like they say, the snowball at the top of the hill starts rolling. So.
Yeah, well, here's what people forget on that whole great story, because people talk about my snowball rolling downhill too. I don't realize the 30 years it took me to roll that son of a gun up the hill.
That's right.
I want to talk about how long it took you to roll that thing up the hill, because it was a shorter span. How long have you been in this great profession?
2010. Actually, I think I was piddling in it when my son was like a year old in 97, 98. I had no idea what network marketing was. Nobody told me that you were supposed to sign people up. I was just selling products out of the trunk of my car, making some cash. And then in 2010, I found somebody that would teach me how to do this thing. And so it took me 4 years and 10 months to hit that 10,000 a month. And I thought literally my family was rich because I had never been given that kind of a check in my life. So, I mean, that changed things for us a lot. But it is a process. It's not like you just go to sleep and wake up and poof, it's all there. There's a lot in the back end of it.
Yeah. And what you're doing is constantly learning and evolving and getting better and better and bigger and bigger. What do you think your strong suit is, Angela? What is it that you've got? You know, Malcolm Gladwell talks about being an expert in something with 10,000 hours of time devoted to it. Where is your expertise that has attributed to your success in network marketing?
Being me.
That's
number one. I've followed lots and lots of people, and everybody gets in business and they think they have to put on this other face or become this other person. And that was so uncomfortable for me. It was like, it was yuck. I couldn't do it. So I just bring me to social media. Whatever's on my mind, whatever comes out of my mouth goes into my post, and people relate to that. If you meet me in public, if you meet me at an event, this is what you're going to get. I'm just going to bring the real me.
And don't you think you spend a lot of time failing? And if you look at the reason you failed is because you were trying to be somebody else.
Yes.
That's happened to me.
When things started really moving is when I stopped trying to be the business person. Yeah. And I just brought Angela to the scene because I don't have to pretend with her. She's just going to be the same every day. So, I started blogging and everybody started following that story. And when I would make very authentic stories where I told something that happened in my past or tell something that happened in business that didn't go so well, those are the ones that people relate to the most, because this has not been pretty. It has not been a nice, pretty straight line. And it took me a while to meet great people like you.
Well, the cool thing about it, I wanted to be Tom Chalman, and I know you know him.
Absolutely.
I wanted to meet a lot of people. And I was a terrible Eric Worre. I was a terrible Troy Dooley. I was a terrible all those guys.
Yep.
And what I did was I spent a lot of time, Bob Crisp, learning their skills. I mean, I learned their skills, but I also did a ton of personal development. So you got the Tom Chenault underneath it. So I learned the skills, and then I got to who I was. And once I finally didn't have to be those guys like you figured out, everything changed for the better almost overnight. And I was off to the races, because people know when you're not authentic with them, and they won't, and I don't like the word buy because it's not about sales. They will not engage powerfully with you if they don't feel like you know who you are and where you're going, right?
I totally agree. And, just left an event with Tom Challen. I spoke about LinkedIn and how to build that authentic relationship. It's building that relationship on social media, whether you meet that person or not. When you actually get to go to an event and you walk in a room and you have built that connection online, you can walk into a room of 500 people and never meet a stranger. And that, I think, we had just a blast this weekend, and people will come up to you and they know about my boys in sports. They know about my nursing background because they have followed that storyline until they feel like they know me.
Yeah. I used to be a radio talk show host, like a real one. I guess I still am, 3 hours a day. And I was on drive time over the 89% of the state of Colorado. And every morning I was on the radio, so people could hear me. And the point I make, which is a way too long a story, is the mailman every morning would talk to my wife about what I was doing And she was going, why does the mailman know so much about Tom? And it was because the guy listened to the radio every day, and he would come home and tell stories that I'd never told my wife about my day in my life. I was trying to kill 3 hours. But the more authentic and the more true you are to people, and the less you care about what they think about you, because they aren't, it is the secret sauce. I agree. But I want to talk about LinkedIn for a second, because I can't figure that thing out to save my life. And you understand it absolutely inside and out. So tell me a story about that. How do you figure that thing out?
Well, back in March, I've had an account probably since 2009. And I'm just like you. I was just like, I don't get this thing. It's not fun. It's spammy. It's gross. And in March, I went to an event where I spoke at, and a gentleman also spoke about LinkedIn at that event. Completely changed the way I looked at it. So I decided, took what I learned from him, and I just dove in and studied LinkedIn ever since March of this year, and just applied everything. And I found the pulse of LinkedIn, because before I didn't know that you could actually use it as a blog post, and I didn't know how to use the hashtags. I didn't know that, and I'm not running any ads whatsoever. I am adding anywhere from 4 to 10 people daily to my email list from LinkedIn. My inbox is usually so full that I can only do a search. You can do different searches for different hashtags, different industries, different type people. And right now I am using the tags of network nurses in network marketing. So that gives me about 41,000 people to talk to. So that's going to take me a minute or two to get done. But those people, I know how to speak their language. So when I get into the message box and they say, hey, I've been a nurse for 9 years, 10 years, whatever, we're having conversation just like we were standing in the nurse's station, using the same lingo that they're used to. And so it's very easy for me to transition that to, hey, I don't know if you're open to a side project or not, but would you like to see what helps me retire from nursing? And they're like, absolutely. And I always let them know, this is something you can do part-time on a side. You never have to give up your job. And most people think that when you come into this business, the first thing you have to do is fire your boss. Well, if you like your boss, you can keep him. But there's a lot of people that are looking, or there's tons of nurses who are working 2 jobs, or
underpaid. Nurses are underpaid. Teachers underpaid. They don't want to quit their job. They just don't want to starve serving the world, right?
That's right. And, they're all working overtime. They're extra hours, and they're killing themselves, and they're not spending time with their family. So
that bashing corporate America is so old school. Don't do it. They're doing it. They love their job, or they have to make the money in order to feed their family, and respect that, and don't bash what they do, because they're trying, just like you, as hard as they can to have a great life for themselves and their family. So please, you guys, that's just a terrible idea. So I love you for saying that. You said something else that's important that I want to get to. I've got time. Email. You use email a lot. Nobody uses email.
It's not dead.
Tell me a story.
I use email every single week. Like, I send out, not every day, but I send probably at least 3 to 4 times a week. I sent an email before this show. I sent out an email to a little over 5,000 people to tell them that I was going to be hanging out with Tom. But a lot of people think that they're not reading their email. And I have to beg to differ, because I've got like a 25% open rate. So somebody's reading something.
What do you use for that? Do you use Superhuman, or what is it you use for email?
Aweber.
Aweber?
Because it's super easy. And, when I tell people to get them an email list, because that is your business. If Facebook shut me down tomorrow, or LinkedIn shut me down tomorrow, and I've got those people moved over to my email list, that is my business. So yes, it would be terrible, and it would be hard to start over from scratch, but it's a whole lot easier when you've got people already to talk to than if you had 0.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even tee this up, and this is the best news I've ever heard, what she just said. Facebook is not forever. How's your MySpace account work? Even LinkedIn, whether you're in Salesforce, if you're working for a company and you built this huge database, and then you get fired or you leave, they take your database. Your database has got to be yours. It's the most important thing, you guys. And I know, believe it or not, I think the yellow stickies and the business card in your desk and Microsoft Excel, if you've got all your stuff stored there, it's a hell of a lot safer than it is on all the social media, because they can kick you off, block you, hack you, horrible. So whatever you do, listen to what she just said. We're coming back right after this with Angela Brooks. I love her. We'll be right. And we're back. Hello, Angela. How are you? So if you want to say hi to any of your friends, if you are looking at Facebook, we got Sean Murphy, who is adorable out there talking about you. You've got obviously Tom Challen,
Awesome.
Ron Henley. I don't know if you guys know him, big guy. He's like 200 years old, one of the oldest men in network marketing. I love the guy. Big fan of all the legends. I mean, they all know him. He knows all of them. He's listening. I love him. Lisa Daly, man, this woman is one sharing, liking, smart woman. And so if you don't know her, you need to know Lisa Daly, because she is a rock star. I mentioned Challen. I love his wife. I'll never forget the first time I got to meet them. One of the coolest guys I know, a guy named Jay Archer, owns a company, network marketing company, just a darling, driven, people-focused, God-fearing man. He's listening. So I just want to bring all that up because I like all these people. We're on the break, as you know, so we're going to be talking here for a couple seconds. Adrian's probably listening, so I have to talk about contact mapping a little bit. So I talked to you a minute ago about having all your contacts safer in your desk on those business cards, safer on Excel, safer on yellow stickies than they are on all these social networks that you think you're so completely all of it in a bag of chips on. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to contactmapping.com. I want you to go look at the bios. And when you see Rick Manelius in the bios and read his background, you're going to realize he is a PhD, age 36, from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. What's impressive about that is he did get his PhD from there, but even more impressive is he got his undergraduate from there. He was a poor kid from upstate New York. They knew how smart he was. They got him into MIT, and the rest is history. He was working for a big company down here in Longmont. Google was chasing him to give him a giant job at their new campus here. He hooked on to contact mapping, and he said, this company is going to change the world, and I want to be a part of it, because people's data is getting sold, it's getting sliced, it's getting diced, it's getting divided, and people don't deserve that. I'm going to this company with Adrian, and those are the two principles behind contact mapping. So if you don't believe me, ask Adrian, because there's probably a modicum of truth in that whole story I just told you. But the fact of the matter, I think it was all true. But the fact of the matter is, you're supposed to go to a webinar on Thursday, and it is at 2:00 Eastern time, which is noon Mountain. And we're going to talk about 5 hacks for you to be able to open a conversation with literally anybody, which is all you want to be able to do. Where'd you get that necklace, you beautiful thing, Angela?
I got a necklace. This is just my earbuds.
Oh, that's not a necklace? That's an old school earphone?
That's old school. That's right.
Really? What kind of phone are you on?
X.
What is that? Are you plugged into your computer or your phone?
Yeah, it's in my computer.
Is that cool enough? I haven't seen one of those in years. Have you guys?
Antiques.
Okay, so here's why I did that. That was one of my hacks. Did you see how we opened up that conversation? It's like a magic trick. So we just commented on something she had, and all of a sudden we're talking. And that's all. It's the ones that we do on Thursday are going to be far more sophisticated. Contactmapping.com/webinar. That was just a cheap parlor trick, but it worked. I love you guys. We're coming back, or in about 5 seconds, for the final segment with the great Angela Brooks. And we're back. It's the Tom Chenault Radio Show on the Genesis Communication Network. Thanks, Ted Anderson, for keeping us on, keeping us alive, keeping us kicking. We've got Angela Brooks on here. We had Hayley Hobson. I have a feeling somebody's going to tell me who's on next week with a little bit of luck. But I'm going to tell you one thing right now. We have had a heck of a time with Angela Brooks, because the woman is a machine, and look how calm she looks. Look how beautiful she looks. And look what she's accomplished in network marketing. How big's your organization now?
We've got 15,000 people.
15 grand. And how hard do you work your business?
I usually work 3-4 hours a day, maybe.
Okay, good. And do you think that you're duplicatable?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't you think that's the most important part?
Well, it doesn't grow if you can't duplicate. So you've got to be able to do whatever it is you're doing. You have to be able to show somebody how to do it. And starting conversations, building relationships, that's pretty easy human stuff.
So that is, she is very, so I knew who was going to be on the show next week, but I was just trying to get Marianne to pop on and tell us, because it's such a big show. So you guys want to be teeing that up next week too, because not only do we have Ray Higdon, but we've got Brian Carruthers. So not only do we have Hayley Hobson and Angela Brooks this week, we've got those guys next week. It's going to be as epic as this show was. And I want you to make sure that you're developing a muscle of joining our radio show email list, which came to you from a tip from Angela Brooks, because people still read email. And I just had Marianne pop up our email open rate. Yours is 25% and ours is like 0.25. What's that all about?
Don't believe that. I do. And that's something else you do is you scrub your list, because there's people that'll join that never open. So I do scrub those off so that I have good people that are actually opening and reading and want to hear from me. So that's a relationship building, as you know, that when that pops into their email, they know I have a message and it's not going to bore them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so the most important thing about an email list in an email is make darn sure that you've got content that's compelling, that make people go, oh no, not another email. They want to open it because there's something in there, right?
That's right. And I speak my language. I use my crazy terminologies because I have some crazy language sometimes. And I just write that in there. My English teacher would roll over in her grave, but you know what? It works for me.
Are you a cusser?
Sometimes.
Okay, good. I'm a cusser.
That's why we're friends.
It's a lazy man. I'm told it's a lazy man's way to communicate, cussing. And I go, I agree 100%. So that's the truth. It is. And I cuss. I don't even know why I cuss. It's one of those things. I think when I quit drinking and I quit gluten and I quit sugar and I quit something else, grains, I decided that I had to have one vice left. So I started cussing.
That's right. You got to have something.
I've got these grandkids. And it's just absurd that I'm saying all those horrible words in front of them.
Well, the funny thing is when you use not hot language is what I like to call it, hot language on social media, not all the time, but once in a while, it drives engagement that is just insane. So I have a really cool following of people.
Yes, you do, man. Well, you're just a hot nurse. That's all there is to it. How many times are you always looking for a hot nurse, hot language nurse? The contact mapping email, would you put that up, Pamela? Contact mapping email is not written by me, and it's not written by even Rick Manelius or Adrian. It's written by some woman on the East Coast named Mackenzie or something. I don't know. That's really bad that she works for Adrian and those guys. I can't remember her name. But you guys cannot believe the email that comes out of contact mapping. It is going to blow your mind. So if you aren't on that list, you want to subscribe to that thing, because it's going to get deep with you. And I sound like a barking chihuahua about contactmapping.com, but it really is my legacy. And I'm really getting kind of old. So I really do have to get the word out before I hit the happy hunting ground. So I'm working pretty hard on that. So please forgive me for that if you think you're hearing about it too much. Let's get back to Angela. How do people find you, Angela?
I go to Angela Brooke without the S.com.
Where'd the why?
There's an attorney in Chicago that has my S.
No.
and she won't sell the URL.
That is pretty funny, because everybody would put in Angela Brooks, but the way that you just spoke that was so cool, because it hit my brain like, holy mackerel, I got to pull the S out there, because attorneys do that, stole her S.
She stole my S.
He was an S thief. That's unbelievable. So that's really cool. And that's another thing that you have to do is, it's wonderful that you're all a bit in a bag of chips with your company and their website and all the jazz, but just like Facebook and just like all this other stuff, guess what? It's not going to be there forever. And you are. So please brand your own name and brand your own self instead of being your company, because you aren't your company. You are your best you, and you have to remember that, and you have to promote that, right, Angela?
Absolutely, because I'm not aware that I have anything about my company on my blog, but there's ways that you can get connected to that. When you get on my email list, I'm going to talk about it there.
Yeah. And that way you don't look like you're throwing up on people either. You know, you're finding out what people want to buy. You know, she's in those groups that nurses in network marketing. Yep. I got to think of what I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in network. I'm going to go in LinkedIn and put all the groups. You know, I'm going to put recovering alcoholics in network marketing. I can do all that, right?
Yes, that's who you could serve tremendously. You've got a heck of a story behind you, a success story. And
that's
somebody
a doctorate and drunk, so to speak.
All right. Somebody's got to do it.
We got to go. So you're going to AngelaBrooke.com.
Yes.
And I think if you want to be successful in network marketing, you got to be some form of the word Brooke. Brooke, Brooks, Brooke. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're all successful. How did they do that? Next week, Higdon and Carruthers. We'll see you all. Thanks for coming on the show. I love you all with all my heart. See you later. And we're back, Angela. You did a great job. I knew you were going to be a perfect guest.
Thank you.
You are such a breath of fresh air. How many kids do you have?
Two's enough.
How many? What's their ages?
23 and 15.
Oh my God. All right. Well, no grandkids yet?
No, not yet. Let's hope not.
Well, you want them, man. The grandkids are the only, you know, I'm building this beautiful home here in Longmont. I'm living with my mother-in-law. And the reason is because my grandkids won't come to the house that I'm in because it smells like Metamucil and Depends. So I'm going to get this great big house, and I'm going to have a lake there, and they're going to be able to fish and chase worms and do all that jazz. And you'll be changing your tune here pretty quick when one of those is born. It's
guarantee it.
I love you. We'll see you next time. I can't wait to be at a conference with you and Tom Challen and his beautiful wife and all that muckety muck crowd you were hanging with last week. So thanks for being on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Angela. All right.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Unbelievable.